Okay, so here's part two. I told you guys this is going to take forever. So going to leading edge, going down, I was talking about the looking for stimulation um, before you get to the feeling shut down, feeling like you're not available. And that's why, Megan, I thought you in particular would think this is interesting because you probably more than anyone else over the past couple of years since we worked together saw me in this disassociated state. And I maybe this will help, and it's helped me to understand too why it looks so much to other people like I don't like leave me alone because I am shut down. And I even have those feelings of like leave me alone, but that what I actually need um, is engagement to help bring me up out of that. And so if y'all remember, we did the Carrie and Gray did this with me in the house before we left for the fall concert, the squeeze activity where people press their shoulders in on either side. And then even in the performance, when Gray put her arm around me and she squeezed my shoulders and she asked me if she could do that, that was actually really, really helpful because I could feel myself going down into dissociation. And what's interesting about that one, the physical associations I have with that are dizziness, nausea, um, feeling kind of faint and disoriented. Like I really am going into it's a vagus nerve response that for me simulates what it feels like when I'm about to faint. My blood pressure is dropping out. Um, so the other forms of stimulation beyond the squeezing are the grounding and orienting responses, um, which that's good for both. But and also the social engagement. So another thing that I have realized that was really really helpful, and I'm realizing this more and more. I mentioned this to Miriam the other day. Is that the other thing that was really helpful during that experience is that you all turned toward me when Brad and Amy started to walk out of the theater. Um, you all turned your faces toward me, and we were sitting side by side, which I and actually when we've done exercises in this class, they she has told us actually being face to face can be too overwhelming for someone who is already in some kind of a hyper or hypo arousal. It can feel kind of threatening, but to be on a diagonal, kind of sideways, is a really good way. Then you're there, you're available, you're turned toward them, but you're not blocking them. And so, even though that wasn't anything that we all intentionally arranged, we were all just sitting in the theater, but you all shifted your bodies toward me. And I was feeling the vulnerability of my feelings, the physical responses of the shakiness, the nausea, the dizziness, the ringing in my ears, um, but then also the vulnerability of for me, that experience was being rejected and abandoned in front of other people, which was incredibly vulnerable and shameful. But the fact that you guys were there to witness it actually was part of the healing for me because in the past and in my childhood, I did not, when I experienced vulnerable emotions, the adults in my life, the primary love relationships in my life turned away from me. And so the physical responses that you guys had of turning towards me um, and staying with me and the experience for me of allowing myself to be witnessed in an experience that was really vulnerable and where I felt shame, but that your responses were not shaming, your responses were affirming and validating. All of that was actually a part of the healing. So it was really a very powerful physiological response for me that you all participated in. And it's been pretty amazing to unpack that and realize that um, it was really the words that you said were important, but it was your physical presence in the space and the physical things that you did, orienting yourselves towards me, showing with your vocal your tone of voice and your facial expression, your care and concern for me, and your physical presence in that particular configuration, and my ability to be present with it because of the work that I've been doing to just stay. Because I did have a flash of like, I got to get out of here. Like there was a moment where I was like, I got to get up and run out of here. But it whisked through pretty quickly. So anyway, all that to say that that was a good moment of recognizing that I was going down. The thing that is tricky is that, like somebody that is in, like I was trying to think back, Megan, like times when I was in disassociation, would it have been good for you to like, I don't think there isn't any way you can just say to someone like, you're disassociated and you need this. Like it does require the other person being at least somewhat available, that is what they need. And then kind of like an easing into that. What my therapist has said to me before is, can I just sit next to you and squeeze your arm for a minute? And she just will like, use two hands and just squeeze kind of down my arm from the shoulder to the wrist, and pays attention particularly to the joints. So it's really unobtrusive. And it's not really talking about the feelings at all. So that I think could be something successful, but anyway, it's still something interesting to think about. It's one of the trickier things. So anyway, these are kind of what I've been talking about already, but this idea of calling a pause when you're overstimulated, breathing, slowing things down. And I know one of the reasons why I'm sharing this with you guys is not only because of wanting to articulate to you what has been beneficial to me, but just knowing that everyone, whether their nervous system is highly sensitive or not, has times when they feel themselves going out of their range. And it's something that each one of you has mentioned to me at different points in time. And so that being able to identify what are the feelings associated with sympathetic nervous system arousal for you, which for me are feeling rushed, feeling sped up, feeling irritated, feeling jangled, and being able to do something to help slow that down. So breathing, grounding, which is feeling your body, the points of your body that are in contact with the floor, noticing the contact of clothing or other sensations, like basically how your body is feeling in interaction with the environment. And orienting is actually visually looking around the space and identifying different things and making sure that you're actually turning your head from side to side when you do that, because that is what activates our hunter-gatherer, the orienting response of I'm safe, there are no predators here. So for people that in particular, the anxiety is the feeling that they're having, the orienting and looking around the space can be really, really useful. And I actually have enjoyed that one quite a lot. And it just gives you a moment to like, see something in your space. One of the cues they've given me for orienting is what's something that you see that you like, a color or a shape or the light through the window or anything. Grounding and orienting can also be good for stimulation when you feel yourself dropping out into disassociation too, like helping yourself to kind of come back into the present, come into your body more fully, to pull yourself out, and then the squeezing and the pressure. So all this is about building coherence. That's the big thing. And sorry, I kind of ran out of time to make images, but the thing, one exercise I was going to tell you about is that's a really, really powerful exercise. And I actually did it with Gray over the phone. It is nice to do with someone in collaborative conversation, because they can help you kind of draw out your thoughts around it. But it's called A Time in My Life. And this is about drawing your attention to how you felt at different times in your life, and that is the way that you want to feel. So, so a time in your life over the last week, a time in your life over the last month, a time in your life over the last year. And it can be something really simple, like a time in the last week is, my first sip of hot coffee in the morning on a cold day. And so it's not like mountaintop experiences. Or in the last month, it was sitting around the table with my family and William said something funny and we all laughed. Um, and so what you do then is you ask yourself, okay, can I feel those sensations in my body again? So not necessarily thinking even about emotions at first, but just can I imagine myself back in that time of sitting around the table? Can I, in my mind's eye, can I imagine myself there, and can I kind of recreate that experience physically? Well, yeah, I'm sitting at the table and I can feel, the chair underneath me, and it feels, it's wooden, so it feels solid. But then there's the laughter, and I feel the laughter in my chest and my belly, and it's kind of like a vibrating, um, shaking, but in a kind of bubbly, excited way. And you guys all know how I love to laugh, so it's like an open mouth, very open and expansive laugh. I feel the openness in my face and my eyes. There's a warmth in my cheeks, and I am also seeing all of the members of my family laughing. And so there's that sense of resonance and shared laughter in this kind of container, the circle of us. So you're looking for where do you feel those sensations in your body? What do the physical sensations feel like? Is there a movement? Is there a texture? Is there an energy? Um, is there a color, an image that comes to mind? Like laughter sometimes feels to me like champagne bubbles, like bubbling up from the bottom of a glass to the top. Uh, and then is there emotion associated with that? So for me, the warmth and the expansiveness and the kind of bubbling sensation are also connected with the feeling of connection and love for my family. And the idea is that you use these experiences of coherence, that those experiences are still available in your body, and that we can practice these on a daily basis and bring our practice that coherent state, particularly in times when we're not on the edge of moving up out of range or down out of range, and create basically a bigger window of tolerance, expand that range for ourselves, which makes us more available, um, more present in our lives, more able to handle, with more flexibility, the stressful things that do happen, um, the interpersonal things, the physical things, all those challenges. So if you made it to the end of this, then that's almost 30 minutes of listening to me talk while staring at a screen. So I hope this was helpful. I have no idea if it just sounds like a bunch of rambling, but I appreciate you guys letting me share with you. I love you.